Imagine you're a wealthy aristocrat walking along the streets of Prague, the city in the Habsburg Empire. It's October 29th, 1787, and you're about to watch the opening of Don Giovanni, an opera by the famous composer Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart.
Fast forward 100 years, and it's May 21st, 1892. You're a middle-class citizen living in Italy, visiting Milan to see the premiere of Pagliacci by Ruggero Leoncavallo.
What changed during these two time periods, and how did the changes arise?
How did this affect music and operas?
These are all questions we will be exploring today!
During the classical era of music, that is 1750 to 1820, virtually all professional musicians were commissioned by affluent individuals and organizations. Because of this, composers were inclined to take less risks, and as a result, most music centered around balance, elegance, and symmetry.
Which were conventional music qualities at the time. Taking risks was not worth it. They weren't worth it.
This caused music to be generally less complex than in the Baroque period, which came before, and the Romantic period, which came after. Exemplary composers and works during this period are
Joseph Haydn, a German composer. Playing now is his work, The Creation. Composed between 1797 and 1798, this piece shows religious influences due to commission by the church. It explains the creation of man by God.
Another composer is Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, a German-Austrian. He composed Requiem in D minor, composed 1791, that gave a good example of the instrumentation of music of the classical period. Just listen.
Instruments used in Requiem in D minor are bassoons, trumpets with no valves, trombones, timpani, violins, viola, cello, double bass, and an organ.
One notable opera of the classical period is Don Giovanni, which describes the escapades of a tremendously immoral nobleman. This opera has similar instrumentation as Requiem in D minor.
And go.
The opera's narrative begins when our desolate protagonist, Don Giovanni, attempts to seduce Donna Anna, and then runs into Donna Anna's father, referred to as the commander. He challenges him to a duel. After slaying the commander, the masked villain escapes with his servant, Leporello.
In the next scene, Don Giovanni proceeds to flirt with a random upper-class woman named Donna Elvira.
Okay.
But then she turns out to be Don Giovanni's ex-lover, and who he had abandoned in the past.
Donna Elvira, you deserve so much better. He isn't worth your grief. I mean, there was Eliza, Mary, Anna, Emma, Elizabeth. Ew. He slept with so many women. Margaret, Minnie, Ida, Bertha, and like 1,000 more.
What a dingleberry bed for her.
In the back country, there is a marriage between two peasants, Macedo and Zerlina. Don Giovanni attempts to seduce Zerlina by offering to host a party honoring the couple in his palace. He almost succeeds, debauching Zerlina, but his plan is thwarted by Donna Elvira.
Hey, Zerlina, do you want to get with a real man?
Go away, you horn swine!
Don Anna then recognizes Giovanni as the man who slayed her father and notifies Don Ottavio, her fiancé.
Yes! That's the man who killed my father!
Oh no.
Later in the ballroom, Leporello dances/distracts Macedo. Giovanni attempts to rape Zerlina. She calls for help. A masked Don Octavio bursts in. Giovanni blames Leporello for the assault.
It was him! It was him!
Don Octavio isn't fooled, but Giovanni miraculously escapes.
Later that night, Don Giovanni and Leporello reunite in a graveyard. They are startled by a talking statue of the commander Giovanni had murdered in the beginning. The statue then invites himself to dinner.
Don Giovanni, you shall atone for your sins. 6 o'clock at your palace, dinner. Make some nice dessert, or else.
In Don Giovanni's palace, the commander arrives, and with several other demons, drags Giovanni to hell.
Mozart's Don Giovanni gives an excellent example of the music and storylines that were used in this time period. This opera had similar instrumentation as other classical pieces, and the opera uses a fairly basic storyline with black and white characters. Don Giovanni represents the devil and evil, while other characters are simply the victims of the terrible man. The story has a clear and basic theme, that we should all lead pious and virtuous lives to avoid a hellish future. Many of the main characters, including Don Giovanni, are a part of the richer class of society, which is unquestionably an attempt to appeal to aristocratic audiences who view the opera. Overall, for these reasons, Don Giovanni is a prime example of music and operas from the classical period.
As you may remember from the PowerPoint, the Romantic period was an era in which Europe was dominating and passions were incorporated into music.
During the subcategory of bel canto, which was in the early 1800s, complex melodies were used and vibrato was established, which were slight variations in pitch and music. Tempo changes were more common, which means in certain pieces it would go faster and then slower.
Except there was Submit, which was mid-1800s, that showed more conversational lyrics and melodies that allowed the actors in operas to really tell a great tale. This was also where great nationalistic composers came into play, and by coming to play, I mean overwhelm the scene.
Mid-19th century German-speaking Europe was very unlike the rest of modern countries. It was split up into small states ruled by nobles who ruled their land however they saw fit. As we know, this never really works out. German was deemed to be the official language despite many of the regions speaking their own languages. Thus, a dilemma occurred. Many ethnic languages and cultures went into disuse as nobles forced German onto their people. This fueled an outrage among the grumpy old men and women of the empire.
Take, for example, Antonin Dvorak, a Semitic countryman who uses music to keep Czech culture and language alive. He composed many pieces that incorporated Czech folk sources and the pentatonic scale used in old European music. He also weaved in Slavic dance and rhythms and Russian dunka.
And Russian dunka, bipolar Russian hymn, alternates from an oldies Taylor Swift to AC/DC type beat.
All of these elements combined in his pieces created Czech nationalistic music. Submit nationalistic music also included the works of composers we looked at in class, Giuseppe Verdi and Richard Wagner. Just think about how passionate these compositions were.
The next category of the Romantic era was realism, where opera reflected the interest in seeing the drama in real lives of people such as actors, not kings. In realism, real events were loved by composers who used things like famine to up the drama in their operas.
It's a little harsh, bro. Using tragedies to get high ratings? It's a good thing people don't do that today!
Casey?
We have something to tell you.
They do what?!
Back to realism! An opera that we summarize as a great example of realism, Pagliacci by Ruggero Leoncavallo.
In Pagliacci, there's a troupe of actors led by Canio and his wife, Neda. Canio discovers that his wife is cheating on him with another unknown man and is planning to leave him.
Can't take this anymore. I'm leaving this clown for my lover.
Canio had just sung of his depression over losing Neda. Clown in the show, he must make his audience laugh. Canio then confronts Neda on stage in costume while the crowd watches the comedy. He then stabs his cheating wife as she yells her lover's name.
Neda, you're cheating on me! Who is it? Who?
I don't know who you're talking about, Pagliacci. Ah! Silvio!
La comedia è finita!
Yeah, that's about it. What do you think about that, Danny?
I don't know, Jared. What's the presentation about music without some kind of rap battle? Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, composer of Don Giovanni, versus
Ruggero Leoncavallo, composer of Pagliacci.
Yo, Mozart here with a story to tell that the Romantic period's music comes from hell. Too many strange instruments and not enough elegance. Your golden age of opera can't be down my fine eloquence. Balance and moderation are required for pleasant sensation, while your music sounds like it yells in frustration. You say that your writers have emotion? More like composers have consumed too much of a certain potion. You couldn't compose with symmetry if a mirror hit you in the face. That makes me want to hurt you with your own string bass.
There's a reason ladies like the romantics. The flowers, the passion, not your boring balanced antics. The Romantic period is full of great dynamics. We have love, death, and hate, not just your tedious semantics. Ah yes, and balance and strings every time are fine, but our brass and woodwinds are the stars of the sublime. You're hired by the church and snotty rich folks, and your comment on your success is truly a hoax. Your commissioned music lacks depth and passion, whereas my romantic music wields love and action. Your melodies are so simple that their notes can be played by a first-year musician. Romantic melodies are so intricate, they're only played by artists of ambition.
Please, your music only amuses the dim population. Nationalistic sentiments lead victims into temptation. The music written for the church is pure and unadulterated. The music you write is agitated, inflated. Your dramas make audiences cringe, while blowing out their eardrums with unnecessary theater roaring fringe. How much listeners prefer my concertos over your stupid clowns? That's hard to gauge. So why don't you pull them out the theater before they are booed off the stage?
My operas would be referred over your attempts in an instant. Your operas would only succeed in being repetitive and persistent. My dynamics echo in my listeners' minds, whereas your concertos are retired until the mind's confined. The Romantic era's music remains as intriguing inspiration, a foundation for captivating creation. Your era's music serves as constant confirmation, rousing contemplation over your dedication. I've got to tell you, Wolfie, my melodies have you beat, I'm afraid. So I think it's well time you made your own way off the stage.
What did I miss? What did I miss?
That's my answer.
Virginia, my home sweet home, I gotta give you a kiss.
Yes!
She didn't coming home last time.
It's getting hot in here, so take off all your clothes. I am getting so hot, I want to take my clothes